Hey YouTube, and welcome back to Garage Shop Science. So this is going to be my last video before August 21st in the solar eclipse. So I'll be vlogging the event from Southern Illinois area, which is supposed to be one of the areas that has the longest amount of totality. Last video I covered making the filter and the filter mount for a camera. The reason I did that is because you want to make sure your camera is protected. If you're using your phones or cameras to take photos of the solar eclipse when it is not totality, so when there is a partial eclipse, and you are not using some type of solar filter, you can damage your camera and damage the sensors in it. So that's why I showed this. Now with that said, solar eclipses are very unique events, and they require experience to photograph, which is why I'm out here today. Unfortunately, right now the sun is behind some clouds, but my intent right now is to come out here and practice taking some shots with my solar filter, with the lens I'm going to use during the solar eclipse. I'm going to practice taking some shots of the sun, just the plain sun. Fortunately, it's starting to come out of the cloud cover, but I figure if I can get shots of the sun during the solar eclipse, I should have a little better understanding of what settings I need to use then. So if you're an experienced photographer, I'm not going to tell you what settings to use or anything. You're probably a better photographer than me. So with that said, let's get started and practice taking photos of the sun as is. For those of you that are more like me and aren't as experienced at photography, you really need a 300 millimeter or larger lens. Any lens that is smaller than 300 millimeters, the sun is going to be so small in the viewing of it that it's going to be hard to see the details in the eclipse. Not saying you shouldn't try taking photos. It's still worth trying to take a couple of photos. And if you have a small point and shoot or a small lensed camera, you could always try taking your glasses, your solar glasses, and put it over your lens of your camera and try taking photos that way. My camera here is a relatively old DSLR. It's a Sony A55. I'm using a relatively cheap 500 millimeter lens. The sun is not working with me at all. It is still hidden and not wanting to come into focus through the solar filter. The sun just came out of the clouds, and I'm going to try moving this up so you can see on my screen. Doesn't look like you can see it very well, but I can actually see the sun on my screen, which is very good. So that means now I can actually work a little bit better on getting my timings just right. So for my specific setup, I'm starting to figure out that a lower ISO and a longer lasting shutter speed is actually a little bit better than a faster shutter speed and a higher ISO. It really varies from object to object on what type of feature you're photographing. But for this is what my experience is right now. I'm not going to say that's going to be the exact same during the solar eclipse, but right now that's what I'm finding out. So the sun finally came out from behind the clouds, and I was able to get the camera focused in on it. I ended up settling on about 1/6 of a second and ISO 200 to ISO 400. So that's where I'm going to start during the solar eclipse. The bad news is I set my camera up to, when I press the shutter button, it takes 10 seconds for it to take a photo. During a 2.5 minute solar eclipse, that means I'm only going to get about 12 to 14 photos, probably on the lesser side, because I'm going to make some adjustments between each photo. So this is why I'm saying get out there and get some practice, because you're not going to have a lot of time for the total solar eclipse photos. You're going to have a decent amount of time working up to it, and you're going to have some time for 10 to 15 shots during the solar eclipse. But you also want to take some time to step back and enjoy what you're experiencing, enjoy the day. So if you found this video helpful, if you liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and get out there on August 21st and view the solar eclipse. And view my next video whenever I vlog the solar eclipse. Thanks.